Hi, I'm Dries De Coster, CEO at Meet Dwight. Our digital worker bot Dwight automates administrative mundane tasks in and out of different systems, working 24/7 whilst never calling in sick and never going on leave. He can do the work of up to 12 people, but at a fraction of an employee's full-time cost. That's enough about us. Let's get on with the show! Well, good afternoon, and you find me at sunny HQ, Meet Dwight HQ in Chelmsford. I'm heading to Oxfordshire tomorrow morning, and I'm very, very keen to meet a man who said to me, Dries, banging my shoe on the table at Whitehall is not a job, it is a hobby. That man, of course, is Neil Carberry, CEO at the REC, and Neil actually is now an OBE. He was awarded the Order of the British Empire in this year's King's Birthday Honours list for public services to Britain. Now, I know Neil is incredibly passionate about the recruitment sector and why it really, really matters. So I'm keen to kind of lift the veil on the man behind the suit and the tie and the lobbying, that very serious person, find out a little bit more about who he is, and also to chat all things recruitment. So let's give him a call to see if he's free tomorrow morning for a chat, a drive, and of course the obligatory coffee. See you then.
Neil Carberry.
Hello Neil, it's Dries. How are you?
Hi Dries, how are you keeping?
I'm very well, how are you?
Yeah, not bad. What can I do for you?
Well, I was just heading to Oxfordshire tomorrow morning and wondering whether you might be free, maybe first thing, to go for a drive, have a little chat and grab a coffee.
Well, why not? Glad you're coming to God's County and we'll show you around.
I'm very much looking forward to seeing all the beautiful scenery.
Excellent, look forward to it, mate.
See you tomorrow morning.
Cheers.
See you, bye-bye.
A few moments later.
Well, thanks for this, Neil.
Well, no, really good to have you here.
Lovely to see you
Good
again.
to see you. And I always like to show off Oxfordshire to people and around Wallingford and all of that. I was in Belfast this week, and, and the receptionist at the Premier Inn when I was checking in used to live here, so it's a small world.
There we go. How long was that chat?
It was a Belfast receptionist, so it was about 25 minutes.
And you're known to like to talk as well a little bit, Neil. So.
Yeah, well, the gift of the gab is something that you kind of need running an organisation like the REC.
For sure.
I mean, my take would be that I'm an introvert that plays extrovert really well.
Okay.
But
till you get home and then you go a bit.
Yeah, I think it's light and shade, isn't it? I do like to shut off. It's actually why I do the rugby refereeing, is for 80 minutes on a Saturday afternoon I apply an entirely different process and don't think about the REC for 80 minutes. And I find that quite restorative, you know?
Good way to clear your head.
Exactly.
Cool. Can we start with some quick fire questions?
Yeah, go, shoot.
Okay. So tell me about your first job.
My very first job, I come from a kind of very traditional Scottish family. So work is, you pay your way. So I had the paper round, and then I worked in the electrics department of the Co-op department store for the princely sum of £2.06 an hour.
Lovely.
Which
Why
was,
electrics? Was that a choice or just where you were put?
It was just where I was put. Okay. But actually, I did it quite well, and maybe it's where I got my interest in kind of jumping into recruitment when I started, because I was a Saturday kid. Everyone else was on commission. I was on just wage. And they kept having to shove me over to selling toasters because I was selling TVs and doing better than them, which was quite fun.
You were kind of making
always competitive.
Them look bad. Yeah. Okay. Good. That's carried on. More
later. No, absolutely.
First car.
First car, a string of Ford Fiestas. The first one was purple.
Nice.
Which was a fascinating choice, as with lots of people's first cars. It was a second-hander from my parents.
Yeah. Was this like a Mark 1, Mark 2? Do you remember?
I think Mark 3 actually.
Okay.
So 97.
Yeah.
A really nice car. And I was a bit of a devotee of the Ford Fiesta. In fact, I did loads of them.
Yeah. Same, by the way.
Well, I mean, the point is, right? Incredible fun to drive.
Yeah.
You could throw them around and have a great time with them, and they were really easy to service.
I was just going to say, as back in the day when it was easy to fix stuff, you could buy the manual,
Yeah.
And it would tell you exactly what you needed to do when something happened and exactly how to fix it.
Exactly so. Whereas these days you open up the bonnet and there's like a big sign on it that says, "Do
Don't
not
touch."
dare touch any of this."
Especially you, yes, you.
Yeah, Carberry, you may have an MSc,
Yeah.
but it's in industrial relations,
Right.
not in this car.
Yeah. You'd know nothing about what's underneath the hood.
Yeah,
here.
exactly.
Cool. Favourite car?
Favourite car? Probably this one, actually, because it's
Okay.
associated with kind of... I bought this one just after I joined the REC.
Which
So
is a Ford Cougar,
It's
sorry.
a Ford Cougar.
Ford Cougar.
And there's an art to buying a car if you're the chief executive of the REC,
Okay.
right? So I was driving one of my many kind of battered Ford Fiestas at the time I joined, and they were great. And typically it's bombing down to a station somewhere, because I tend to have to take the train for work because you've got to prep stuff
Yeah,
on the way
yeah.
to and from. But rolling up in one of them to an REC member's head office isn't a great look. But equally, on the flip side,
You can't go
never
too far.
turn up in a car that's better than the member's car.
Yes.
So this kind of Ford Cougar is exactly primed to be in the position of
It's a safe lane.
yeah, it looks all right. The REC's doing all right, but I'm not trying to outcompete you.
Very good. And also tell me about the colour.
So it's as close as you can to maroon, on the basis that I choose it in every way possible to show off my support of the world's greatest football team, which is Heart of Midlothian. And as we were just discussing, that extends to 7 a.m. starts once a month to go up to Tynecastle with Thomas, my son, who is fully converted despite his English accent. To
Not
support
out of
both
choice, I assume.
Well, I mean, if he wants to inherit, he's got...
If he wants to inherit the fleet of Fords.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the number of blue ovals available to him, yeah.
Yes. Very good. Very good. Right, so that was car. Tell me about your favourite job.
I think it'd be impolitic not to say the REC, and I do love what I do now. If I had to pick one of the others, I think my first job at the CBI was a cracker, because I was having graduated my second degree in industrial relations. I was basically put in charge of the CBI's relationships with the trade unions.
Yeah.
So I'm a rare beast by kind of professional background, in that I'm an employer-side trade union negotiator,
Right.
which is immense fun, and I got to do all sorts of things. There are bits of international law, bits of domestic law that exist in their current form because of the work I did, and that feels impactful. So that's probably the best of the last one.
Okay.
The last one, and for the impact you can have leading a business like the REC is phenomenal.
More on that later.
Yeah, well, I just think the world doesn't understand B2B businesses very well.
Yeah.
And therefore doesn't understand their value.
Yeah.
And I get a lot of meaning out of getting that value across.
Yes, which comes through in everything you do and say. But more on that later. Funny story about yourself.
I've been imprisoned in a communist country.
No way.
Yeah,
I was
sorry.
not expecting that one.
There's two...
Hang on. The man who's, in my opinion, comes across very straight-laced, always suited and booted with a tie, apart from today.
Yep. Well,
How?
this is our Australian Sister Fed's T-shirt.
Okay.
And love your work is a great message.
Yes.
So I had two choices there, both Caribbean related. The other one is I can play a steel drum.
Well, did you not combine the two passions of being in prison and playing a steel drum?
They didn't have a Cuban prisons availability of steel drum. We had a minor car prang on the day of the 2002 World Cup final.
Okay.
In Cuba, and as far as I could work out, the police's attitude is arrest everyone.
Okay.
And what I loved about it is we were taken down to the local police station. This is like super rural Cuba. So it's basically a cow shed with a couple of metal grates across a couple of the stalls. And we're thrown in there for a couple of hours, while as it becomes apparent, they're finding the only person who speaks English locally, who is the English speaker, the English teacher at the local secondary school.
Wow.
And as it
Do they
turns,
speak Scottish accent English or normal English?
I put on my best English accent for him, which just sounds like I come from Morningside in Edinburgh. That's a niche Scottish
Okay.
joke.
It's a posh part of town.
Yeah, it is a posh part of town.
Okay.
Yes, it's not the part of town I come from. Let's put it that way.
All right.
But so they went and found him, and what was great about this guy is, firstly, he was unspeakably excited on the basis that he'd never spoken to a first language English speaker
You're
before.
kidding?
Yeah.
Given how close they are to America as well.
Yeah.
I mean, I know obviously very insular, but still.
So, I mean, this was still early on, not as many Americans were going to Cuba then.
Yeah.
So we kind of chatted, and what was great was he just wanted to talk about the World Cup. So I'm like, I've just come out of a cell in a communist country where I'm not sure I trust the justice system. And he's like, tell me about Michael Owen. Is Michael Owen really as good as he looks?
Like you've met the guy.
Yeah, absolutely. The best bit about him was we had ended up having to do a statement. It was all fine in the end.
Right, okay.
But we ended up having to do a statement, and I was giving the statement in English and he was translating. And occasionally he'd just say, you said this, but I told them this because it sounds better. And I'm like, thanks, I think.
Sign here.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a lesson in the importance of patience and of not taking on too much when driving in deeply remote areas and in countries you don't know.
So, you just got stopped or something happened?
Oh no, there was a crash, which was primarily driven by the fact that there were 5 of us in the car and all of us were on antihistamines because of the amount of mozzie bites that we'd taken, and of course that led to some drowsiness.
So someone nodded off, and
someone being me.
Okay, well, I wasn't gonna.
That's where the embarrassing bit comes in.
I've fallen asleep behind the wheel before and crashed. So yeah.
So it was a weather lesson. So there was no damage. The best bit was the real damage was to the hire car we were in.
Okay.
And we went off the road, down the ditch, and across. And look, I was looking in the car afterwards, thinking, written that off. Got back to
Not
that.
in Cuba.
Yeah, no, exactly. Got back to the hire car place that the night, and they sort of went, did the wheel still do this? When you, yes, yes, I'll be fine. So
no excess to pay.
Yeah, no. So it was, it's a different world.
Very different world. Okay, so I thought you were going to go down the sports route because I have heard a story of you being in South Africa recently. James Osborne from TRN told me this.
Yeah.
Where you were in full referee kit, and what happened?
So we had the WEC conference in South Africa earlier in the year. That's the REC and all its sister feds from around the world, and some of the major brands, Deckel, Manpower, Randstad, so forth. Essentially, I was running a session where different countries from around the world were presenting what they were doing on learning and development for consultants.
Yeah.
And so I said, well, you need a good referee for that. And it was after lunch on the 3rd day, so like everyone's bored. And everyone's sleepy. So
antihistamines because of mozzie bites?
Possibly. So I thought, well, we'll liven it up a bit. A session like this needs a good referee. I am a good referee. So I took the kit.
Even if you say so yourself.
Yeah, well, belief is important. Actually, I was assessed on Saturday and aced it. So
there we go. So there's independent verification.
Independent
of that
RFU
claim.
verification.
Fair.
James had to introduce me.
Right.
And then I ran the session. So rather than James introducing me, we got him to say, we're going to need a good ref, at which point I blew the whistle, did the full TMO check thing, got James to give me an embarrassing photo of him. We checked it, decided that it merited a yellow card. I yellow carded him, and then I ran the session in the referee's kit. But I think sometimes you just have to do things that are slightly offbeat to pique people's attention. It landed well, and of course it was a nod to the fact that half the room were enormous rugby fans. Yeah. Because of course we were in South Africa.
Springboks.
Yeah.
I always had this impression of you being very kind of straight-laced, booted and suited, but obviously there's a very different side to you, Neil, which we're uncovering.
Well, you just need you need a hinterland. Everyone needs a hinterland, and there's a lot of really serious stuff to running a business like the REC. This week I've talked to ministers of state about what's going on in the industry, kind of our concerns on the employment rights bill, the worries of the NI and all of that. But actually, you get nowhere by just presenting a fact-based case with these people. You have to tell them stories.
Yes.
You have to engage them at a human level. And that requires kind of people who do the job that I do to be kind of fully rounded, and actually that makes the membership relationship quite challenging sometimes as well, because yes, you have to tell people like government what the industry wants. You slightly also have to tell the industry what they can have.
Yeah.
Because it's not a wish list.
Yes,
it's not a kind of here's the 10 things that we need, and navigating that requires a bit of touch and personality. And I'm very lucky that I've got an excellent team at the REC who do that work really well.
Brilliant. And obviously the storytelling started by selling those toasters, right?
Oh yeah,
That was
absolutely.
The grounding for Whitehall Lobby.
You better believe that those toasters were the best toasters anyone's ever had.
Really spoke to people's souls.
No one's ever had toast like that. People are saying
even today
their life was changed by toast from those
and they
toasters.
remember from way that went. Yeah,
there are people wandering around that town now going, I wish I could meet the guy that sold me that toaster and say thanks.
Wonderful. So rugby union referee we covered Hearts.
Yes.
Dare we touch on Reading?
Yeah.
Reading Football Club. So you're a season ticket holder and have been for, was it 30 years?
20 years. 30 years.
Okay.
Oh God, that makes me feel old. Yeah, so Reading is, I am a Heart of Midlothian fan, right?
Yeah.
You only really have one football team.
Sure.
But when we moved down, my kind of take was there's only so much sitting on the sofa or going shopping you can do on a Saturday afternoon.
Yeah.
I love football, and I'm not a passive football fan. You know,
Sure.
I don't consume the Premier League in the way that perhaps the Premier League want me to. So I fell into following Reading then, who were in the third tier, dobbing around about mid-table, in desperate need of some investment. And here we are in 2025, where Reading are in the third tier, dobbing around about mid-table and desperate in need of some investment. But you know, the journey in between, kind of the best team the Football League has ever seen.
Was the championship total topped
It was
by Burnley?
It wasn't. It was.
Okay.
It was topped by Birmingham this year, but as all of us would say, asterisk, they did it in League One, not
that
in the
was
Championship.
Yeah.
So the Championship record is still very much ours.
Right, the days of Kevin Doyle and co.
Kevin Doyle and Shane Long, Dave Kitson. I mean, you can. The mark of a great football team is you can go Hanneman, Murty, Sonko, Ingeborson.
We've lost half the viewers now, by the way.
I know. You can name them all.
Very good. Okay, so how did you become CEO of the REC? Why the REC? And also, despite this being recruiters in cars, REC is not the recovery organisation for vehicles. So what does it stand
especially
for?
if you give the job to a man with strangled Scottish vowels, it sounds like it is. So ostensibly, my career path is went to university, did an arts degree, came out of university thinking, don't know what I want to do, but I don't want to work in people fields.
Okay.
Jumped into recruitment. So I started, as I like to say now to the youngsters, I actually started in recruitment in the last century. I mean, September 1999 still counts as the last century just. Spent 4.5 years in perm recruitment in the city. Fabulous time to be recruiting in the city.
Yeah.
Loved it. Gave me a lot of exposure to working in small business, understanding the dynamics of a small recruitment business. After sort of 3 or 4 years, I was sort of the most senior non-director in the business, and the directors were all 20 years older than me.
Right.
And I had to you either then have to make a decision about committing, moving on, or doing something else.
Yeah.
And I had an itch to scratch, which was kind of wider people stuff. So I went and did an MSc in HRM and industrial relations at the London School of Economics for a year.
Oh, nice.
I worked part-time at the consultancy while I did that. After that, intended to go out and kind of work in a car factory or something doing trade union relations, but was hired by the CBI to look after all of their relations with the TUC and 1 or 2 other bits in their policy team, which kind of brought together a couple of interests for me, the kind of political and policy world and people and industry. And that was the beginning of sort of 14 years of doing all sorts for the CBI. You know, I was one of only 5 people in the room when the agency workers regulations were agreed, for instance.
Wow. That's cool.
Which is kind of just a really interesting space to be in.
Yeah.
And then we got to 2018, and Kevin Green, the previous chief executive of the REC, rang me up and said, look, I'm resigning. Do you want me to throw your hat in the ring? And for me, you go, well...
How did you get to know him in the first place?
Well, because the REC are CBI members.
Okay.
So I was doing a lot of support for, funnily enough, both the CBI, both the REC and APSCO at the CBI.
Yeah.
Because APSCO are CBI members as well. In fact, I used to joke that when I joined the REC as chief executive, I actually spoke at more APSCO conferences than REC ones. But I used to just say that to wind people up. You
didn't say which were better.
Oh, the REC ones were always better. Sorry, Anne.
You contractually have to say that now as well.
Yeah, no, but I actually believe it as well. Sorry again, Anne. The challenge for us is coming through that is I was ready to run my own show, own my own P&L again. Also, kind of, I felt like, you know how it is where you spend a long time somewhere and you feel like because you haven't been bought in, people don't quite get the value that you're driving.
Yep.
So I felt like it was time
Prophet in his own town type thing.
Yeah, exactly. To get out. So when Kevin rang me, I said, well, look, this is actually quite exciting. And it's exciting for the reason that I think British recruitment is an unsung success story that we need to be prouder of.
Agreed. Okay. So, and REC stands for what exactly?
It stands for the Recruitment and Employment Confederation.
There we go.
Which is a name that I think does one really positive thing for us. It emphasises the E matters as much as the R.
Yeah.
You know, that we're specialists in the talent ecosystem.
Yeah.
And defending the talent ecosystem is something that we should all take very, very seriously, because that's where the margin is for us as businesses going forward. If you think about the tech, the kind of work you're doing at Meet Dwight, the tech will be essential to any recruitment business in years to come. What sets yourself apart is your ability to offer a service.
Yeah.
So there's something in what we're doing and saying that has to be about the kind of the development of the industry as employment advisors. And so the E matters. Confederation I'm less convinced by, but it relates to the foundation of the organisation as a merger between an individual and a corporate membership organisation.
Yeah.
And over time we'll probably make the C mean something else.
Okay.
But
there's a bit of a teaser there.
It's a nice reference to the history of the organisation, because the REC's oldest predecessor organisation is actually 95 years old this year.
Okay.
So we're looking at 5 years out from a centenary.
Wow, that's amazing. Cool. Shall we grab a coffee?
Let's grab a coffee.
More moments later.
Alrighty, well, little plug to Costa. We got our coffees. We're all
Excellent. I'm fully caffeinated.
Caffeinated back up so you can stay awake this time.
Yeah, absolutely. yeah.
We're not having a Cuba repeat.
I'm pretty sure that the Thames Valley Police won't be as forgiving, actually, ultimately.
Yes, true. But on the flip side, you won't need a translator either.
Exactly.
So there is that. So REC, that's where we kind of left it. So talk to us a little bit more about what the REC does for members, how much of it is lobbying versus other kind of benefits.
Yeah, so the way I see the REC, and there's lots of kind of business growth, business improvement groups in recruitment, but a trade association is a fundamentally different thing.
Yeah.
We do three things. The first of those is voice. I use the term voice rather than campaigning and lobbying, because actually, if you look at our media work is really aimed at shaping to use a terrible defensive, shaping the battle space for clients.
Okay.
So we're trying to talk directly to our members' clients about the reality of recruiting in Britain right now.
Yeah.
So helping them understand, for instance, the challenges that the retirement of the baby boomers is bringing. That means the labour force is actually getting smaller at the moment. Yeah. That kind of stuff feels increasingly important. In fact, I've been asked by the REC board to talk to more client audiences, and we're going out, we're explaining the labour market and what good recruitment looks like,
Right.
more and more to client sites. Obviously, alongside that, you've got a big campaigning operation that's about talking to government, getting regulations right, dealing with the forest of stuff that this new government's bringing in, particularly around the Employment Rights Bill and
Right.
national insurance changes. So that's one bit. The second bit then is about what you might broadly call professionalism. We run the only off-qual regulated qualifications body for recruitment.
Yeah.
So the level 3 Cert RP up through level 4, level 5 are the standalone professional qualifications for the industry. And
Which gives them credibility back to their clients as well, I assume.
Yeah, and absolutely. And if we think about kind of the march of technology, the differentiator for recruitment businesses in the next 10, 15 years is going to be around the people skills, because the tech, the tech is going to buy your place in the game.
Right.
But once you're in the game, you have to have a differentiator, and it's your client understanding, it's your candidate journey, it's your ability to advise as well as to deliver.
Yeah.
And so I think that kind of people skills piece is really important. So the quals are part of that, but so also is the compliance regime. One of the things that I don't think many people realise is that the REC is about the only trade association in Britain that examines its members once every 2 years.
Okay.
And what that enables us to do is to say to people, if you're dealing with an REC member, they have passed the compliance assessment.
Yeah.
And many members actually go further than that and take the REC audits, which is required to be on some of the public sector frameworks, but is a big part of our business too. So that whole developing your people, and this year we've launched a thing called the REC Academy. So there's several hundred bits of recruitment training that members get as part of their subscription. Yeah. All for less than their gym membership a month.
Depending on your gym membership or any gym membership?
Any gym membership.
So you never stop being a salesman, Neil.
Well, aren't we all just salespeople?
I'm a bit disappointed you didn't bring it back down to the price of a cup of coffee, like per day or something. We get that right in marketing.
But actually, one of our principles is that gradually we should be delivering more for less.
Yeah.
So the REC subscriptions have gone up by less than inflation over the last 7-8 years.
Yeah.
Which means that because we're owned by the members.
Yeah.
Members are our customers and our shareholders.
Gotcha.
And that drives us to kind of a really tight focus on value. The third bit then is business advice. And when we look at business advice, we need to be really sharp on that. There are areas where we are utterly expert. So our legal helpline, our legal team are fantastic, and they genuinely understand recruitment law, which is different to employment law. Yeah. The contracts, the advisory, but we do other pieces as well, often with partners where, as a trade association, we can't be your business growth consultant, but what we can be and we should be is a real orientation for every business and membership to give you that first hour or two of thinking about a big issue. We've got, for instance, the AI hub on the website, the growth hub on the website, where we're pointing people into how they should think about these things and what they might want to be doing in their business. And then there's a warm pass off to kind of people that we are either partnered with or that we trust, that members then can take on their plan. So we're basically standing up for your business and helping develop your business's profession. Our chair, Michelle Mellor, talks about the REC helping keep you protected and connected. And then we're orientating you for your business's growth. And then all of that sits within a wider bit that kind of, obviously a big part of membership is the value of the network. Yeah. My standard, I do kind of regional events. I was in Belfast on Tuesday, I was in Manchester a couple of weeks ago. I think 50% of those events are kind of mutual help groups. Yeah. Support. Yeah.
Therapy sessions sometimes.
Sometimes. I'm pleased to say a bit less so in the last few months than in the previous few months. And of course, part of that is being able to share our bit of it, which is the REC's data is the best data on the labour market in Britain, which is driven by having a really strong membership filling out the surveys and when we talk, we can talk from a position of strength of having the data, really trusted. Now it's used every month by the Bank of England. Now partially that's because the Office for National Statistics has broken the labour force survey,
Right.
Which is terrible for the nation but good for the REC's report on jobs.
Gotcha.
But it's an important part of what we do as well, being able to tell members what's going on right down to local authority level.
Yeah.
Because of course a lot of REC members are niche specialists, either in particular sectors or in local areas where we can give people really clear data.
Yeah, gotcha. And we'll put the website at the bottom as well, so if anyone who isn't yet a member is interested in joining, then they can do so.
Well, never not a salesperson. If you look at what's coming to recruitment in terms of regulatory burden, new things to adapt to in 2026, there has never been a better time to be engaged with your trade association.
Well, there you go.
Kate Shoesome, my deputy chief exec, said on LinkedIn, if you look at the amount of advice that is on LinkedIn at the moment about the change to PAYE liabilities in April, there's a lot out there, and some of it's very, very good. Some of it is not. And the one thing that we can guarantee is there's no one closer to the intent of government than we are.
As you said, it's a hobby, right? Because again, you said Dries banging my shoe on the table at Whitehall is not a job; it's a hobby. So there we go. And even if you are a member, like you say, there's valuable information on there, right? For
absolutely.
For people to go and check
get
out.
Inside the website rec.uk.com, and obviously the way we view it is, if you're a passive member or you're not yet a member, we're always happy to walk you through what we do. And I think by comparison with any trade association in the country in terms of value for money, we're now delivering at a really kind of good level. Like everyone in the industry, we've been careful with what we do over the last year or two, but I think that some of the digitization that we're just rolling out at the moment is also kind of helping us serve members better.
And I know you're very passionate about the sector and about the pride the sector should have. I want to cover that, but also you've been awarded an OBE. Apparently you haven't received it yet in the flesh.
It's a fascinating insight into the workings of the British state. So, about 6 weeks beforehand, they send you a note saying we're minded to recommend to His Majesty that that you receive the OBE. Would you take it? Because obviously it's not the done thing to say no to the king when he gives it to you.
Yeah.
So obviously you fill in the form. You say yes, I'm very happy to receive this. And genuinely, I think it is a really important recognition that our sector matters.
Yeah, it's not just for you; it's for the sector and what you represent. Is what you're saying.
And I think
does it give you a bigger shoe to bang?
It does actually.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm very judicious about when the OBE goes on the end of the name.
Yeah.
But there are situations where it does, I think, carry a bit of gravitas. So they announce your name, and then it all goes mad for about a week on LinkedIn and Twitter and so forth. And so that was June, second week of June.
Okay.
Got to about the second week of August.
We're now in end of September, just for the viewers.
Nothing.
Are you thinking have they changed their mind?
Yeah, kind of like a good
They've come to this sense.
Like a good working class boy. I'm just like, what are these posh guys doing? So I sent them an email saying, is this normal? And they went, oh yeah, we'll get to you sometime in the autumn. We're still doing the New Year's Day honours list. And I just thought that's classic British state, which is we got the announcement out there, but we're not actually going to do anything about it for about 6 months.
So you're still waiting on your invite to go to the palace?
Still waiting on the summons, which means that there's still the value of...
It's a summons, not an invite.
Oh,
sorry,
yeah, it's a summons.
That's an important distinction. I had not really twigged.
Yeah, they're very clear that if you genuinely can't make it, they'll rearrange, but they'd rather you didn't.
Yeah.
The advantage of that is that the amount of money I would have to spend on a new frock and a hat for Alice is still in my bank account.
and so the kids don't have to curtsy you yet, but I hear something is going on at the rugby club.
Yeah, I mean, bless them, the Oxfordshire RFU caught hold of it, and now, the parents of I head coach the under-15s at Wallingford Rugby Club,
Yeah.
and the parents have taken to calling me my lord these days.
As well they should.
Well, as long the funny thing is they do that when I'm not refereeing the team.
Right.
When I am refereeing their team, they're rather more pointed.
Fair. I did have actually again a Scottish client of mine way back when, who, as a joke, got bought this tiny plot of land in Scotland.
Yes.
And then did become a lord. Yeah. So there we go. So all hope is not lost.
Well, I think I've always thought that. Lord Carberry of Lord Carberry of Gorgie sounds quite well.
It's got a ring to it, for sure.
I think I need another 20 years of doing something before we get anywhere near that sort of thing.
Yeah, exactly. So can we talk a little bit about the role of technology in recruitment and how we both, I think, believe that recruitment will very much remain a people business.
Yep.
But how do the two kind of play hand in hand? Do they play hand in hand? And what does that look like going forward from a REC/Lord Carberry perspective?
People by people, Dries, ultimately.
Yeah.
And there are a couple of truisms, which are truisms because they're true, which is we're the industry with the product that can say no. Mm-hmm. And therefore, how you manage the people, that product is really important. There's also a piece there about giving people space and time.
Yeah.
Because, back in the pandemic, and you just use video conferencing as a technology example. Back in the pandemic, recruitment, once it fired up again, you could quite easily condense the process aspects of finding someone a new job to a week.
Yeah.
Now, the question is, if I'm a passive candidate, you've rung me on a Monday morning, and we've done it in a week, by Thursday night, I've got a life-changing decision. Am I well positioned to make that life-changing decision? Probably not. And if you look at where the value of labour is seen to be highest in executive search, a lot of the value is in the individuals.
Yeah.
I think we're moving in the same direction. We have to ask ourselves some quite difficult questions in the industry about the skills we need in a world where a lot of the process stuff we will automate. That's your ticket to the dance.
Well, that's why we're in existence as well, right?
Exactly. And the point, as Rob McCargo, PwC, often says, the robots are here to take away the boring bits of your job, but that does mean you have to do the interesting bits well. Mm-hmm. So I do think that the skill set of the consultant will change quite rapidly in the next 5 to 10 years. But come back to...
Do you think, just on that, do you think the younger generation still have that skill set? Because with the rise of social media, a lot of screen interactions, they're kind of interpersonal skills, which I think is where we're getting to, are becoming increasingly important. But do we have it in the modern day workforce?
So I've just started a graduate at the REC who absolutely does have it.
Yeah.
I think that it's on us as the, in inverted commas, older generation to be thinking about how we help them develop.
Agreed.
I think we've done some pretty lazy thinking about the impact of AI on workforces. I don't actually think graduate opportunities are decreasing with the kind of catastrophic scale that some of the press comments are leading to. But if you are sweeping away jobs that graduates do because AI is taking the tasks on, ask yourself the question who your next set of leaders are and where they're coming from. Yeah. So I think there is, in some way or shape, and this is going to sound terribly earnest, and in some ways I am terribly earnest, in some way, shape or form, we're going to need a new social contract where companies are thinking through the long term of their social planning.
Mm-hmm. If companies have a long-term view, that's part of the challenge, right? Because some companies' kind of timelines are from maybe one private equity cycle to the next.
So this I think is the big challenge for government and business together, and it links to industrial strategy, which is how do you build a self-sustaining system that supports the long-term profitability of companies, not just when's my exit in 3 years' time. And that is a challenge. And it's one of the areas where I think companies, and and institutions matter. It's actually why I think trade associations broadly matter, which is we've got to have a forum in which we can have a conversation within sectors, but also between sectors and with government around what long-term success looks like overall. Because I'll tell you this now, no one ever gave the REC what it wants because it helps make Agency A a bit more money.
Mm-hmm.
They gave the REC what it wants because it helps the country,
Right.
and Agency A makes a bit more money in doing that.
Yeah.
Case in point, last year when we saved temp to perm fees in the Employment Rights Bill, the argument was an argument about the benefit of keeping them for temps and for companies,
Yeah.
and therefore for the economy.
For UK PLC.
So, and I think that sense of we're all in this together,
Yeah.
we found for a bit in the pandemic, but I think this new economy will require some kind of discussion, and I think institutional frameworks really matter to that.
Yeah, I mean, I would agree with that, Neil. I think we've moved away from everyone's in competition with each other, which we still are. There's still healthy competition, but to more of an open society where I see it quite a lot, where business leaders are talking, like I took a call yesterday from one of our peers in the sector, just playing off ideas against each other. And I think that's really important for that to not be a one-way stream, but a two-way stream. Listen, it's been a real pleasure talking to you. Any kind of parting words of advice or encouragement for recruitment leaders, even people starting in recruitment perhaps, out there?
So we're very focused at the moment on two things. One is the kind of the state of the market, which has been weaker than we've known for a long time. If you look at our data, this is the first real U-shaped recession recruitment in Britain has ever had. Mm-hmm. Everything else has been quite a deep V. Quick in, quick out.
Yeah.
And we've got the march of technology. And I think there's a lot of, and you've hinted at this as well, Dries, there's a lot of quite inaccurate future gazing about the labour market that comes out of firms on the West Coast in the US who aren't really thinking about how labour works in a way that kind of those of us who are specialists in it do.
Because they're laser focused on tech.
What will this? They think of the whole thing as a process,
right?
And there is a process, but it's a more complex process than pure automation or AI would allow for. You know, it's that difference between information and intelligence. Yeah. And within intelligence, that difference between AI and HI, human intelligence, which I think will always matter to candidates and clients, and understanding clients' pain points. And being able to build a relationship where you're offering them the solutions, the right solutions for them, and helping them find them. Because one of my most deeply held views is that clients are a bit lost at the moment in what to do, and it's our role to build their confidence. All of that is to say that I think that the industry will change shape. It's always changed shape, and it will kind of exploit the technology ruthlessly and need to. But at the end of the day, it's always going to be the technology plus the people that builds a sustainable business. And then remind yourself what we do. You know, why do I love leading the REC? I love leading the REC because we represent a £40 billion sector that actively makes lives better in Britain every day. Yeah. You know, we open up opportunities to candidates to fulfil their potential, and we help British businesses to grow. And if you think about the problem, for instance, the government finds itself in, we're kind of in the run-up to the budget now, unless the economy is growing, everything in tax and spending becomes a zero-sum game. Everything is taking from one person and giving to another. The only way you avoid that zero-sum game is to grow the economy, and recruitment's contribution to us growing the economy is phenomenal. Yeah. So heads high, shoulders back, pride in what we do, because actually it's fundamental to the success of Britain in the mid-21st century.
That's a beautiful way of wrapping it up. So thank you very much. Just a prediction on Hearts for the season?
Unofficially at home, I have said to Thomas we're winning the effing lot.
Wow.
But I don't...
That would be a big disruption to the status quo.
I don't really believe that.
You want to?
My head says we still finish third. I'm beginning to think we might finish second. I carry the scars of us having blown the title on the last day of the season in 1986. And therefore, I will believe it's possible when we're about 20 points clear with 21 to play for.
Nice.
But you know what? It's a great place to be, to actually be competitive with the Ugly Sisters for once.
For sure, for sure. Neil, thank you so much, sir.
Thank
I'm
you,
going to
Dries.
shake your hands
Good
if
to
that's
see you.
safe. And we'll see you at the next.